Welcome to Light and Peace Through the Storm. I'm Cecilia. Each week we have honest conversations about real life challenges, and we explore how to find peace, clarity, and hope, even in the most difficult moments of life. Wherever you are listening from today, remember that peace is possible and light is always present, even in the storm. Today, we're exploring how communication shapes relationships, especially the differences between men and women, and how these differences can often cause misunderstanding. Welcome. Whether you are listening alone or with a partner, I'm really glad that you are here with me. This topic is not always obvious, but it affects how we connect with each other, how we interpret and respond to each other. Misunderstandings are not often because couples do not love each other, but it is because of how that love is expressed, received, and interpreted. If you have ever said, "That's not what I meant," in an argument, or thought, "Why don't they just get it?" then you can relate. Now, let's explore this through a real life story. He came to visit and was watching soccer on my TV. We agreed to eat vegetable soup and fufu that evening before he would go back to his place. I asked him if he could help me in the kitchen. He said nothing and kept watching the soccer. He was so absorbed, so into it. So I went to the kitchen and I started prepping the food. And then I started cooking. And I kept waiting. After a while, I went to him and playfully, I started pulling him up from the couch. He was very upset. He said, "How dare you?" He was very angry. He thought I was forcing him. Men and women communicate differently. Misunderstanding is because of how information is expressed and received by the other person. Men speak 15,000 words a day on the average, and women speak around 16,000 words a day. The difference is not that much, and the difference is not what causes the problems. But what causes many misunderstandings is because of how we use words and the meaning we attach to those words. One person says, "I'll handle it," and he really means, "I'll handle it." And the other person thinks he is controlling. Somebody is late in replying to a text, and he means, "I am busy." But the other person interprets it as, "They don't care." It is very important that we exercise patience and restraint in communicating with each other. We should focus more on understanding instead of expressing what we think. Because if we pay attention to understanding, it will eliminate misconceptions. And many times, we have problems in our communication with each other because our listening is weak. We are not listening properly. And so, because of that, we may misinterpret what somebody is saying to us. Proverbs chapter 18 verse 13 says, "To answer before listening, that is folly and shame." And so, when somebody says, "I'll handle it," and we jump to conclusions that they mean something else, then we are missing the intent behind their words. James chapter 1 verse 19 says, "Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." Listening is not the same thing as talking. And listening is more important than talking. If we pay attention, it will reduce misunderstanding. It is very important that we understand differences in the way we communicate. And studies have shown that these differences are not always genetic. Some of them are sociocultural. It is depending on how we are raised, the society and community that we grew up in. No way is better than the other. They are just different ways. And our understanding this helps us to pay attention and notice differences in the intention behind what somebody is saying. You could get that from their body language, their tone of voice, not just the words. And it helps us to know when we should offer care and when the person is just asking for solution. Men are fixers. You tell them a problem, they want to find solution. Now let me illustrate this with another story. Fast forward years into our marriage. Now we know each other better. We understand each other more. And I arrived home from work one day. I say hi to my husband and went straight to my meditation room. Something was bothering me, and I was looking for divine intervention to find out what God was really telling me about that situation. After a while, I noticed my husband standing at the door. He was watching me quietly. And after a moment, he asked me softly if I was okay. Meanwhile, he had interrupted my meditation, but I did not mind because he cared enough to check in on me, because he noticed. I shared with him the unusual situation that was bothering me. He listened, pity in his eyes, concern in his tone of voice, and he asked me if I wanted him to help me. But what I needed was not a solution. I was looking for spiritual guidance. But I was touched that he gave me his listening ear, that he cared. The fact that he noticed, that warmed my heart. You see, men are fixers. You tell them something, their instinct is to find a solution. By their actions, they're actually saying, I care, I see you, I am here to help you. In social situations, men talk about shared interests, shared activities. But the women talk about feelings. Validating and acknowledging feelings are very, very important for women. They want you to give them your full attention. And in conversations, most of it is centered on connection, intimacy, caring, affection. When they tell you, I have a headache, they may actually mean, oh, I want comfort. And so if you say to them, why don't you take Tylenol? It may come across as really cold to them. They feel you are being cold. They're expecting something like, I am sorry you're not feeling well. What can I do to help you feel better? Now, I want to talk about honor and affection, comparing men and women in that regard. Men, they value honor. They value respect above everything else. Even above love. They care about love. They want to be loved. But honor, respect is more important to them. If you respect a man, you will lose them, no matter how much you love them. Women, on the other hand, they value caring and affection. Communication with women should emphasize caring. You show them you love them in your words, tone of voice, body language, your countenance, your eye contact. When you do this, you win their heart and even their last dollar. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 33 says, however, each one of you must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. Now, Ephesians chapter 5 verse 28 to 29 also says, he who loves his wife loves himself. He nourishes and cherishes it. Now let's look at these two passages. The man is told to love his wife as he loves himself. What does that mean? If you love yourself, you take care of your body, you eat what is good for you, you put on what makes you look good, because you care about yourself. That is the way you are to treat your wife, as if she is you. And indeed, she is really you. That is what marriage is, husband and wife being one. Now, the wife is told to respect her husband. Why the emphasis on respect? because that's what men value more. Women like to be respected too. Men like to be loved too. But it is what is of more value to each person. Now, the man is told that if he loves his wife, he should nourish and cherish the wife, just like he will love and cherish himself. This is very important. If we pay attention to these words, we find out that our relationships, our marriages will be much, much more lasting, much, much more positive, much, much more rewarding. Now, I want to talk about privacy. Men are physically strong, but they are emotionally fragile. A man needs a safe and protected environment, an unconditional positive regard, for them to open up to you and tell you their secrets, to tell you how they feel inside, how they really feel. If a man opens up to you and you criticize him, either in words or body language, you're going to lose him. And do not ever dismiss what he says to you, because he will shut down. Confidentiality is very, very important. If they tell you something, do not share it with somebody else, unless they give you permission to do so. Women, on the other hand, they are not as sensitive about privacy. Of course, they value privacy, but they don't value it to the same level and extent that a man does, generally speaking. A woman will easily open up about their feelings and talk about their relationships. Now, but a woman values intimacy. Intimacy is very, very important to a woman. So when you are with them, it is important that you are intentionally present, even in small moments. If you please them, they are going to start trusting you, and they will build closeness with you in your relationship. And that is what will make your relationship to grow, to flourish. I want to talk about the different perspectives of men and women. Men and women often approach situations differently. Men are very practical. They are very, very efficient and logical in finding solutions. Women, as I mentioned before, value connection, shared experiences together. Emotional meaning is very, very important. How they feel, how it makes them feel. Now, let me illustrate this with another story. We had plans to attend an event together, and he wanted to meet me at the venue. He didn't think going all the way out to come and get me and doubling back again was the right way to go. I just smiled and shook my head. He missed the point. I wasn't thinking about convenience or efficiency. I wanted shared experience with him. I wanted us to arrive together, sharing the drive, enjoying time side by side with each other. But he was thinking practically, while I was thinking relationally. Now we're in a modern age of texting. And texting means different things to different people. And it has now created a new battlefield, the phone. For some people, texting means connection. And it means a quick, I am thinking of you. But to another person, texting may mean just logistics. What time are we meeting? Pick up milk. I'm on the way. One person is using texting for emotional connection. Another is seeing it as just practical. And if care is not taken, tension builds up. And misunderstanding will result. One will say something like, "Why did it take you 6 hours to respond to my text?" And the other one will reply, "Because I was busy." And they really were. None of them is crazy. They are just different expectations. Different expectations and different ways of looking at things. To avoid this kind of problem, it is always better to set clear expectations from the onset. Talk about it early. Tell each other, "Oh, I'm not a huge texter. I'll give you my full attention when we talk later." Or, "Small check-ins help me feel connected." So you tell the person so they will know. But it is important that you consider and sacrifice for the other person too sometimes. Even if you do not like texting that much, make an effort occasionally to send a quick text and ask, "How are you doing?" The other person prefers talking. Once in a while, you call them and talk to them instead of texting. So that way you are differing to the other person's preference, and it makes them feel better. It helps minimize resentment, and there won't be any silent treatment to deal with later on. Now let's talk about space versus closeness, because that's another issue that destroys relationships. One person may want closeness, the other person may want more space. And one person says, "Can we talk?" And the other person says, "I need time to think." And then the complaint will begin. They are pulling away. And the other person says, "They are too needy." Now, the other person doesn't really mean to reject the other person. No rejection is intended. And the other person is not being clingy either. It's just different ways of regulating emotion. Some people need connection to calm down, to deal with stress. Some people prefer solitude. a quiet time alone. A better way to prevent misunderstanding in a situation like this is tell the other person clearly, I need a little time to reset, but I'm not going anywhere. I'll give you my full attention when I return. When you do this, it gives the other person reassurance while you're having your space, your quiet time alone. Another reason why arguments escalate fast is because of tone of voice. Most fights do not explode because of the issue. It is because of the tone in which it is said. And one person will say, you're overreacting. The other person says, whatever. You always do this. You never listen. This kind of comments will trigger defensiveness. And fights will become about respect. It's no longer about the issue. It is better to use specific language. Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1 says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. It is better to replace attack language with specific language. Instead of you never listen, try saying something like, earlier when I was talking, I felt dismissed, ignored when you looked at your phone. You see, specific problems can be solved. General accusations cannot. Healthy couples are not the ones that do not argue, ever. In every healthy relationship, misunderstandings are bound to happen occasionally. Not all the time, not frequently, but occasionally. But what happens is that when arguments arise, they know how to repair quickly. They say things like, I am sorry. I didn't mean how it sounded. Or, we're on the same team. Can we start over? Healthy couples look for the right moment to discuss the issue that is causing a problem between them. In Philippians chapter 2 verse 4, it says, let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. So if you have a concern, you wait for the other person to calm down, and also for you yourself to calm down. Because when you're upset, you may actually say something you don't mean. You may actually respond in a tone of voice and body language that will cause more problems. So you actually wait for the other person to calm down. And then you get their full attention. And both of you will sit down and you talk things over. You listen to each other's side of the situation. When you do this, it speeds up recovery time in your relationship. I want to talk about shared experiences and how it's very important in every relationship. Shared experiences strengthen relationships. You need to do joint activities together frequently. Join your partner occasionally to do what interests and pleases them. It shows that you are making sacrifices. It shows them that you are making an effort. It will motivate them to also make sacrifices for you too. For example, if they like watching sports and you don't, occasionally you sit with them to watch the sports with them. If you don't understand it, ask them to explain it to you so you can share the experience with them. Do they like hiking? Join them occasionally. If you are not a hiker yourself, maybe you ask them to choose an easier route for when you go with them. It shows you care. You need to intentionally set aside a time when you give each other 100% of your attention. And when you do so, make sure that they fully feel that they get your full attention, that you are their number one priority. Making sacrifices for each other in your relationship, it causes you to be close. It brings about closeness, love, and trust in that relationship is going to grow. Philippians chapter 2 verse 4 says, "Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others." It is important that you remind your loved one that you love them every single day. Very frequently, even multiple times a day. I want to encourage you to leave mistakes in the past. Avoid rehashing past mistakes. They are not positive. They are not an effective way for any relationship to thrive. It makes somebody become defensive when you point out things that they did before. And defensive people are not listeners. They are not good at listening. And when you are talking to them, watch your tone of voice. Avoid sounding condemning. Avoid sounding confrontational. Let your tone show that you are seeking understanding and that you are seeking to be understood. This is very, very important. Let me ask you this. How would you feel if someone is constantly pointing out to you all the mistakes you have made in the past? How does it feel? Well, I know you wouldn't like it. And that means that you should try not to do it. Honesty and humility are very important. They are key to a thriving relationship. Misunderstandings are bound to happen, but how you handle them are important. Do this. When there is a misunderstanding, say how you feel. Be honest about it. And don't walk away from an argument unless it's temporarily for you to cool down. But then you come back. Because if you walk away, you're telling the other person you don't care. You're dismissing them. Ensure that your partner will trust you to listen to them and hear what they have to say, and that you respect what they are saying, even if you don't agree. When people feel that they are not being heard or respected, they resort to nagging. They complain. They argue. They quarrel. And sometimes this leads to physical abuse. Or worse, the person will close up and stop communicating entirely. And that is really very dangerous in any relationship, because bottling up emotions, they are not healthy. They will destroy that relationship. There is a better way to communicate in real time. When you see tension rising, try this 4-step approach. 1. Clarify the need. Say something like, do you need comfort or do you need solution right now? Do you want me to give you space? The next one is you validate them first. Say something like, I understand why that upsets you. Number 3, share your side calmly. Say something like, this is what was going on for me. This was how I saw the situation. Finally, focus forward. Say, what will happen next time? This approach is very simple. It is mature and very effective in building a positive relationship. There are some key takeaways I want to leave with you. Number 1, notice and honor differences. Sacrifice your time for each other. Show that you care. Intentionally set aside time when you can give each other 100% of your attention. And ensure that they really feel that you are giving them your full attention. Let them know that they are your number 1 priority at that particular time. Be intentionally present. And remember that small moments matter. It brings about closeness and makes your love to grow. Closeness, love, and trust, they are built when sacrifices are made in any relationship. So, remind your loved one that you care through the sacrifices you make for them. And also, tell them in words, body language, and tone every day how much they mean to you. Don't bottle up any resentment. Don't bottle things up. You will explode. And remember, no communication makes things worse, not better. Now, take a moment. Breathe. Notice and reflect. Now I have some reflection questions for you to ponder. 1. In what way might you unintentionally be making a loved one feel that you don't care? Number 2. What is one way that you can show your loved one that you care and value them today and every day? Number 3. Do you really listen to what they mean, or are you just paying attention to what they are saying, to the words? What do you do if you discover that your tone and body language is causing more problems, more offense, making matters worse in an argument? What do you do? How should you handle your feelings if you feel disrespected or ignored in your relationship? Finally, what do you do if an argument becomes heated between you and your loved one? The Bible tells us that good words come from good thoughts. In Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, it says, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things." Positive thinking will make you to say positive words, and positive words will make you to act positively. How high do you want your relationship to go? That is how high you have to praise each other in your relationship. Thank you for listening to me. I pray that God will bless you and strengthen your relationship and make it stronger as you continue to show each other that you love each other every single day. Follow Light and Peace Through the Storm on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. To stay connected, visit ceciliapublished.com. You can also find me on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Just search for @Light and Peace Pod.